Christmas of Sri Guru and Gadadhara. Today we are observing the festival. Though our festival has not started yet. But anyway, you are all here. And wherever you are in the world, when there is a special day, such as the appearance or disappearance day of our acharyas, then it must be honored, it must be celebrated. To not celebrate is an offense. So even though everyone has not arrived yet, they're still flying and coming by train and in different ways. But anyway, we are, those who have arrived, we must celebrate this auspicious occasion. That is the Bheda-abheda-tattva, the Divine Disappearance Day of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and also the Divine Disappearance Day of Sri Gadadhara Pandit. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki Jai! Sri Gadadhara Pandit ki Jai! Nam Shristam Manav Vishichiputam Adrasurupam Rupam Tasakajamuipurim Maturim Goshvat Radha Kundananipadam Ahoradika Madhvasam Rato Yasapatitipaya Sri Guru Tam Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tat Bhaktaya Namo Anandalilamaya Vigrahaya Himapadavyajjavi Sundaraya Tasmai Mahapremara Sampradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Radhikaraskamama kripanadhi Supriyajana king kurim kuru Davevasmi Rajvami Tayavana Jivikyaya Devi Tam Namam Charanadikam. So there are many speakers this evening, so ask the speakers to keep it very to the point, to be very succinct. So first of all, I ask Sri Nandikishore Das Paramachari to make his Pushpanjali. He's offering the flowers of his heart at the lotus feet of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur.
Om Agyanatvidandasya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Bhaktivinoda Sachidanandana Pura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanubhavarate. Okay, so I'm really not qualified to say anything about these two great saints that we are celebrating today and honoring today. But usually it's good manners to say some words of appreciation when you receive something from someone. Actually, we don't really know what good manners are. We just try to imitate the Vaishnavas. They are the true gentlemen. Srila Bhaktivinoda Saraswati Thakur, before leaving this world, he said, "This world is no place for a gentleman." So, I'm trying to follow the example of the Vaishnavas by trying to offer some words of appreciation to these great two saints, especially Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, for the great legacy that they have given us. So I believe Mahaprabhu later will speak about how Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is Saptam Goswami, considered the seventh Goswami of Vrindavan, although he didn't reside in Vrindavan, but in Navadvip, which is also known different from Vrindavan. So he will speak in more depth about all the songs that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote, for example, to put all the teachings of the Acharyas and of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all his pure teachings, putting them into songs that we could all learn, and we could very easily become familiarized with his teachings, and not only that, but with the internal moods of the intimate associates of Mahaprabhu. So he not only composed many songs, but also many books of literature. So he was always very creatively looking for ways in which this highest revelation of Mahaprabhu could reach every heart. So by doing this, so he tried to do this by using his supernatural creativity, composing literature that was not only edifying and instructive, but very entertaining in a way. Like we can see in Gadadhara how all these teachings take the form of a novel, many conversations, many different characters, many different stories, pastimes. So he was always, we can see in his work how preoccupied he was with really getting the message across to everyone, and doing that in a very transcendentally creative way, very artistically, trying to reach everyone. And this also is a manifestation of the generosity of Gauranga Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, who were spreading the holy name and giving the highest goal of life and the highest form of Prem to everyone, regardless of their qualification or lack of qualification. So Mahaprabhu didn't just say, okay, go to some houses, knock on some doors, see if the house is well painted and if it has an expensive car parked outside before you knock on that door to preach about the chanting of the holy name. He just said, go to every house. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is spreading this pure teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to everyone, but also keeping them in their most pure form. By the time he was born, the current of pure bhakti had become somehow diminished and perverted by many apasampradayas. And he was like the Bhagirath Maharaj who brought the Ganga from heaven down to earth. He also brought the flow of pure bhakti back to this earth, so that it could be available to all of us today. And one aspect of his teaching that has become we have been meditating a lot on recently, thanks to Srila Gurudev, who shared a lecture where he addressed a Western audience and also a Western, an Indian audience that was informed, that was culturally formed in the culture of the West. So he uses a very a language that is that can be understood by all of us, and not only that, he reveals how Western influences were a part of his own spiritual path by telling us how he was a great admirer of Jesus Christ even before finding the pure devotion as explained by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I would like to read a few words very shortly that Srila Bhagavad Maharaj shared today. They are quotes from Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And they say, "Oh, for that day when the fortunate English, French, Russian, German, and American people will take up banners, mridangas, and kartalas and raise kirtan through their streets and towns. When will that day come? Oh, for the day when the fair-skinned men from their side will raise up the chanting of Jai Sachinandan Ki Jai, and join with the Bengali devotees. When will that day be? On such a day they will say, our dear brothers, we have taken shelter of the ocean of Lord Chaitanya's love. Kindly embrace us." That day will witness the holy transcendental ecstasy of the Vaishnava Dharma to be the only Dharma, and all sects and religions will flow like rivers into the ocean of Vaishnava Dharma. Oh, when will that day come when pure and transcendental Vaishnava Prem will be the only religion of all souls, and all tiny sectarian religions will meet in the unlimited and universal religion of Vaishnavism as rivers merge into the great ocean. Oh, when will that day come? So I believe we're seeing this come to fruition today. If we look at our parampara, it goes back 5,000 years, and we have many different spiritual masters. They all have very different, they all look very different. Some have long beards or shaved heads, but they all have something in common, and is that they were all born in India. But our Srila Gurudev, he's the first in that long line of spiritual teachers who appeared in this world outside of Indian territory. And here we are in Marchena, receiving all these great treasures that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brought to this world, and that were in a current that was kept alive by the mercy and great endeavor of our Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So these are my very simple and my very simple words of appreciation for all this legacy that we have come to receive from the transcendental lotus lips of Srila Gurudev. And I would just like to add very shortly a teaching about Srila Gadadhara Pandit that Gurudeva shared with us some time ago. And it's that one of the greatest glories of Srila Gadadhara Pandit is that he never tried to impose himself on others. Even though he's the highest personality, he's Srimati Radharani herself in this world. In his pastimes, he never tried to impose himself upon others, and this is one of his greatest glories. So I am praying that by His mercy I can also try to follow His example. Srila Gurudev ki jai.
Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaye Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha. Jai Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. So by the mercy of Shri Guru and Gauranga, we are all together here at the lotus feet of Gurudeva in Spain, in Marchena, and we start with the mercy of the great Vaishnava in our Rupanuga Gaudiya line, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So as we know, Ishwara Janmatiti Jahino Pavitra Seimata Vaishnavera Titira Charitra, which means we know all that is very auspicious to celebrate all the appearance day of the avatars and of Shri Krishna himself, like Janmastami, Radhastami, and other great days of the avatars, but sometimes we think it's not so important to celebrate the appearance and disappearance days of Vaishnava. But here it is said that just as the appearance day of the avatars and of Krishna himself is very purifying and auspicious, in the same way, or even more, is merciful to glorify the appearance and disappearance day of the Vaishnava in this world. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, he sings Jai Jai Vaishnava Bhajile Achinta Krishna Pai Se Vaishnava Puja Hoite Arabaranai. He said there is nothing more auspicious than glorifying the appearance day of a Vaishnava. Why? Because Shri Krishna, we know that he is Sarvashroy, he is the shelter, the base of all existence, so he is beyond everything. Sarvakarna Karnam, the cause of all causes. No one can see him with his materialized and material senses. He is Achintya, beyond everything, inconceivable, most inconceivable. Sarvaschara Chinta Swabhav, his nature is completely inconceivable. So how can we ever come in contact with him and see him and serve him and develop love for him? Is impossible by our own effort. So only by worshipping, in this verse it is said that only by worshipping the Vaishnava, the beauty is that you receive such a mercy from them that their heart flows to you, their mood, your heart and his heart become one, like Atmasal, and so then you can receive this divine love in your heart. And then Shri Krishna, who is hiding very well beyond the cordon of Maya, so then he becomes manifest. So he said that Jai Jai Vaishnava Bhajile Achinta Krishna Pai Se Vaishnava Puja Hoite Arabaranai. Arabaranai, there is nothing more powerful than this worshipping of the Vaishnava. And today there is much speciality in the disappearance day of a Vaishnava, although the appearance day is very auspicious, but the disappearance day is something very special because it's also called Viraha Mahotsav, means the festival of separation. And but it means that when the devotee feels separation, especially from the Guru or Vaishnava who they serve with heart and soul or life, then there is a special meeting then in this glorification. Because Viraha, V means Visheshruta, means a special, Raharahasya, meeting. There is a special meeting through the opening of the heart in separation of the devotee, which is glorifying this Vaishnava. Because the meeting is there, because the Vaishnava are transcendental. Nakarma bandhanam Vaishnavam Navidate. There is no birth, no karma, no material karma, no material destiny for the appearance and disappearance of the Vaishnava in this world. So they can appear anytime to us in dreams or even with open eyes. And also it is called that Mahasamadhi, the disappearance day, because it means that every day this Vaishnava, he chants the holy name, enter in Samadhi, but he, in this day when his separation is increasing so much, then Mahasamadhi means he's entering eternally in the divine realm of Shri Radha and Krishna and staying there. Because Mahasamadhi means, Samadhi means the same plane of existence, same plane of consciousness. The Guru, the pure Vaishnava, like Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's one of this level. Eternal associate of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Gaura Prayojan. So when chanting the holy name, he's entering into the Lila, and Mahasamadhi we can say when he's entering there forever. Even though we know by his causeless mercy, he always keeps one of his transcendental form in some earth planet with us, here following always the mission of preaching with the serving of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and also here his spiritual form as Kamala Manjari, very dear main servant of Srimati Radhika. So I want to share with you the teaching from Srila Gurudeva about Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Why is he called the Saptam Goswami, the sixth Goswami, the seventh Goswami? We know that previous to him, after the disappearance of Mahaprabhu and the sixth Goswami, slowly Maya was getting into the path of the spiritual practice of the devotees. So it was mixing with some material and personal motivation and attachment of the devotee who was practicing. So from this, so many Alpa Sampradaya, Fartina Sampradaya came, and also the pure path of pure bhakti, especially Raganuga Bhakti, which is very rare, it was getting lost. No? So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he make manifest one Prakash to Gadadhara Pandit, which is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So he appeared and he bring again this flow of Raganuga Bhakti. And he's called the seventh Goswami because some person maybe can think, before him also many Vaishnava was very qualified, like Srila Vishnacharya Thakur, Srila bheda-abheda-tattva, Srila Rottandas Thakur. Why did they receive this name, this title, no? The point is that you have to fulfill four mission to receive this title, Goswami. And this four mission was given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the six Goswami in Vrindavan. It was Lukta Tirtha Udara, the first one, to discover the lost holy places, the dhams, the holy places, where Shri Krishna in Vrindavan, in Brajamanda, the 12th forest, he was doing his lila 4,500 years before the appearance of Mahaprabhu. So they was lost. So he wanted to revive them. Why? Because there is an astonishing power in the dham. You know that this dham is also called the Mahabhagavat Mahabhagavat Arkar Adhistan, which means, you know, the Salagram Shila is called Bhagavat Arkar Adhistan, which means the place where the Lord resides and can manifest His form, His rupa, His transcendental form. So everybody knows that there is no form as an avatar like the Salagram Shila, like a stone, but according to the mood, Abhiman of the devotee who is worshipping the Salagram Shila, from there can manifest the very particular type of form of the Lord with whom the devotee who is worship have his eternal sambandha relationship, Vishesha sambandha, special relationship. So but the beautiful point of the dham is that this is the Maha Bhagavat Arkar Adhistan. Means anywhere you are in the dham, you are like walking inside of a place where the Lord can manifest at any moment in any place. Because it's like if you are inside the Salagram Shila, so it's very powerful. So Mahaprabhu, he's Namo Mahavadanya, very merciful, most magnanimous. He wants to distribute this mercy to all of us, fallen soul of the age of Kali, that we can take shelter of the dham. So they must be revived and find again where they are. So he invested this to the six Goswami. And this is one of the five more important practicing of bhakti. To take shelter, Mathura Vasa, taking shelter of the dham, no? Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtan, Bhagavad Shravan, Mathura Vasa, Shrimurtina, Shraddhaya Sevan. One of the five is taking shelter of the dham, and they have incredible potency. As Srila Srila Rupa Goswami told in Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu, Durhat Bhuteri Yasmin Shraddha Durastu Panchake Yatra Salpopi Sambandha Sandhyan Bhava Janmane. It means even if you don't have faith, but only if you, even if you don't have faith in these 5 practices of bhakti, they have such Durhat Bhuteri Yasmin, they have such an astonishing power that if you come in contact with them, but if you are not offensive, then they can manifest at once. Sandhyam Bhava Janmane, Bhava, this ecstatic love, divine love can at once manifest in the heart. So very powerful. And so Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he received this title because he also fulfilled this point, Luptatirthodara, to find the lost holy places, but in Navadvip. And the beautiful thing is that he found it alone. The 6th Goswami was in 6 in Brajamandal, but Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was alone doing this huge service in Navadvip Dham, Goramandal. So, and there he found the place, as we see, when we heard with Srila Gurudeva in the Parikrama, when we go to his house in Godrumadvip, then there he see from the balcony of his house a huge light coming out, and also his son could see it, but he was one of his friends who could not see it. So this was proving that this light was an astonishing transcendental light, only those who were transcendental you could see. And this light, when he went there to the island, it was Mayapur, he asked to the local people who was Muslim at the time, what is this place? And they said, oh, this is, what is the name of this place? And they said, this is called Mayapur. Because at that time it was a bit changed, with time it was changed the name. And they say, oh, this is useless place, we try to grow many crops here, to grow many things, but nothing is growing, only tulsi is growing. So they are Muslim, they don't have faith in this tulsi. So he understood, yes, but this is the holy place. The Janma place, Janma stand, the birthplace, the yoga pit, the birthplace, appearance place of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Satchidananda Gaura Hari. He discovered that. And also he discovered the exact location of all the 9 islands of Navadvip. So thanks to him we can today go and take shelter of Navadvip and receive this great mercy from Navadvip Dham. Then the second point is Vigraha Prakash. It means that he has also to discover all the deities which was lost. And for example, he discovered the Adokshaj Vishnu, which was the deity of Mahavishnu, which was worshipped by the father of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Adokshaj Vishnu, not Mahavishnu. Okay. And so Adokshaj Vishnu, not Mahavishnu, because he is a form of Lord Narayana in Vaikuntha. And it was worshipped by by the father of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then later on was worshipped by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but it was lost. So then he discovered it, he found it again. And then Vaishnava Sadachara Stapana, the third point, it means that he has to manifest some scripture to teach to us how is the proper behavior of Vaishnava also in their private life, and also how to be engaged in the society, how to interact with society properly following the Vaishnava etiquette, because it was already lost. Because already Kali Yuga started, no? 5,000 years, so it was already lost, and from the time of Mahaprabhu everything got even worse. So he bring again this point, very important, and also he bring the point of how to associate and how to, we can say, also preach to those who come from a different religious background, who are from different religion, different parts of the world, and we can see how he very beautifully expressed this topic in, for example, in Jeva Dharma or in Sri Chaitanya Sikshamrita also. And then the fourth point, it is the Bhakti Granta Pranayana, which means he had to made the scripture which bring the glories of pure bhakti. Pure bhakti, not mixed with jnana, karma, yoga, anything, just pure bhakti and difference of Vaidhi bhakti, Raganuga bhakti, everything in so many details. And someone may say, but already Six Goswami brought so many scripture, shastra with so many details, Bhakti Samhita Sindhu, Siksandharta, so many scripture, why should he make again something, no? The point is that, yes, the Six Goswami wrote it very perfectly, but it was in Sanskrit, and it was very difficult to approach to Sanskrit language for many people of today, not only for the Western countries, but also for the local Indian people. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, very merciful, very compassionate, he translated everything and in Bengali, in English, he wrote so many books, as in a song book also, he brought all the beautiful Siddhanta philosophy of our the Six Goswami, of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all is there, like all the Mana Siksha, Shikshastakam, Namastakam, the glory of the holy name, how to go beyond all our obstacles in the beginning stage of Bhakti, how to go beyond the Namaparada, everything in detail. He did it also in books, in English, in many languages, and also he did it in a song form. Also to help some Apa Sampradaya like Aul and Baul, especially because they was a great singer, but the Siddhanta and their behavior was not perfect, was not really following Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he made a book of songs where the Siddhanta is perfect, and so they can sing it, and he signed it, I forget the name, but he signed it with a name.
The book is called Baul Sangit.
Baul Sangit.
Written by Chandra Baul. But it was really Srila Bhaktivinoda.
So he did even this, why? Because so much compassion in the heart of a pure devotee that they see the sufferings of the human being in this world, which is what? Not the sufferings of the body for lack of money, health, or some material things, but the lack of Krishna Prem. Without this Krishna Prem, the life of everyone is useless, everyone is missing, everyone is thirsty, everyone is in need of this. So if we take shelter of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and especially through our Srila Gurudeva, then we can one day become the instrument in his mission. Especially we know that he, in the Namahatta of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, the mission of distributing the holy name all over the world, he is like the seva of sweeping the floor with a broom. So we know that if we can pray, O Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, today, every moment of our life, please keep us just as one stick in your broom, so we can help you, not help you, we can be used by you in this service, and by this we can become purified and take this Krishna Prem. Jai Srila Gurudeva ki Jai, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki Jai.
Gyananjana Sulakaya Chakshurmilitamina Tasmai Shri Gurave Shri Chaitanya Manavishtam Stapitamina Prade Saimpupa Vedamagnam Dhatisva Pradanichikam. Тысячи поклонов Дикша Гуру Шри Махараджа, тысячи поклонов моему Шикша Гуру Шри Праyojan Прабhu. Также приношу свои поклоны Гуру Мати и всем мамам, которые являются мамой чистых преданных.
Koti Dandavad Pranam to my Diksha Guru, Sripad Srila Indradumna Swami Maharaj, and Koti Dandavad Pranam to my Shiksha Guru, Sripad Prayojan Prabhu, and 1,000 pranams to all these highly esteemed pure Vaishnavas and to all the mothers of pure Vaishnavas, and to El Mundo in general.
Гурудев попросил меня немножко сказать о Бхактивинода Такуре. Сегодняшний день очень особенный, день ухода. И очень четко было, ясно сказано сегодня Мадхавой Прабhu насчет важности этого дня.
Srila Gurudeva asked me to say a few words in honor of the disappearance day of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Madhavdas Brahmachari already very wonderfully, succinctly explained the Vaishishya of Viraha, of the Disappearance Day.
Мы должны понимать, что сейчас мы стоим здесь, собрались по милости Бхактивинода Thakura, мы прославляем его на разных языках, как было сказано, что и эта бхакти, она прольется в разные страны, Россия, Англия, англоязычные и других стран.
The very fact that our festival is going on here in Marchena, Spain, and here we are, actually all international devotees, it's a performative glorification of the glories of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, his foresight, his vision that in future all these international devotees will come together under the banner of the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and shoulder to shoulder with Indian-born devotees will worship Lord Sri Krishna by congregational chanting of his holy names.
Также по милости Бхактивинода Thakura мы имеем удачу посещать Навадвипу-даму, также Вриндаван. Это происходило недавно, пару месяцев назад. И мы ощущали эту милость Бхактивинода Thakura в Навадвипу-дхаме.
We are all forever indebted to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur because by his mercy we are all here and in touch with pure bhakti. By his mercy we have an opportunity to visit Sri Navadvip Dham, and many of us had this opportunity just recently. A couple of months ago we were performing Navadvip Dham Parikrama under the guidance of Srila Gurudev.
Также это пример того, что я нахожусь, другие многие преданные, которые мы получаем наставления с лотосных уст нашего дорогого Шикшагуру.
And so all mercy of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur that I personally and my different brothers and god sisters and friends Vaishnavas, we all have opportunity to receive Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Vichardhara instructions from the lotus mouth of Srila Gurudev, from the lotus lips of Srila Gurudev, and receive this guidance of pure bhakti.
Нандакешвар Прабху, он упомянул, что Бхакти Махарадж, по милости Бхакти Махараджа, Ганга, она пролилась на землю, а по милости Вамана, Господа Вамана, она пролилась на райские планеты. Также и по милости Бхактивинода Thakura и его последователей, нашего Гурудева, эта бхакти, она проливается на все уголки этой планеты.
As Nandakeshwar Prabhu mentioned, by the mercy of Bhagavad Maharaj, Ganges came to earth. By the mercy of Vamandev, Ganges went all over heavenly planets. In the same way, by the mercy of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, this current of Shuddha Bhakti is spreading everywhere. And by the mercy of Gurudev.
Бхактивинода Thakura, он в действительности хотел совершать баджан во Вриндаване.
Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was hankering to do his bhajan in Vrindavan Dham.
И он отправился в это паломничество, но по пути он остановился и переночевал в храме Махадева, Таракешвара Махадева.
It was it was his strong heart's desire to be doing bhajan in Vrindavan, but on the way to Vrindavan, he stopped to spend the night at the temple of Mahadev, Tarakeshwara.
И в ту ночь Махадев, он явился перед ним и сказал, что ты не спеши, ты можешь посетить, но у тебя есть очень большая миссия в этой жизни, ты должен проявить в Навадвипе 9 островов. Величие.
At night, when Bhaktivinoda went to sleep, he saw like a transcendental dream in which Mahadev came to him and said, control your zeal, it's too early. You can visit Vrindavan, but you still have a huge mission awaiting you. You have to return back to Navadvip Dham and reveal the glories of Navadvip Dham, the glories of 9 islands of Navadvip to the whole world.
Это я повторяю, в принципе, лекцию Гурудева.
Basically, what I'm doing now is just repeating what I've heard from Srila Gurudev.
Стараюсь сейчас не спекулировать, а исследовать по стопам Гурудева.
Trying not to make anything up yourself, just basically trying to be in Anugatya and repeat the words that I heard from my Guru Parampara.
Когда слушал этот момент, и я подумал, что на самом деле даже великий Вайшнав, как Махадев, он уже заботился о нас здесь, в этом западном мире.
It's also very sweet that Mahadev, the greatest Vaishnava, was showing his interest and concern for us Western-born devotees, and that he was already preparing this future bonus for us, of, asking Bhaktivinoda Thakur to preach widely.
Потому что в этот момент он реально развернул его жизненный путь.
Because Bhaktivinoda Thakur could have just ended up in Vrindavan doing his, relishing the sweetness of his service to the divine couple and relishing his personal bhajan, but Mahadev stopped him, then in his tracks turned him around and sent him to Navadvip to do the work, assigned. And assigned, just saying that he told him you can visit, but then you have to go back to your work. It's true, you can't just retire just yet.
Бхактивinoda Thakur, он направился в Вриндаван, и там на Сурьякунде он встретил Gadadhara Babaji Maharaja.
And Bhaktivinoda Thakur went ahead to Vrindavan at Suryakund. He met Jagannath Babaji Maharaj.
И это его очень сильно впечатлило, его дашна с будущим Шикша-гуру.
And it was a special meeting for him. He was very inspired to meet this pure Vaishnava who later he fully acknowledged and served as his Shiksha-guru.
Бабаджи Махараджу в то время было 120 лет.
At that point, Jagannath Babaji Maharaj was already 120 years old.
И он, когда слышал имена Нитянанды, он плакал, терял сознание, переживал такие экстатические эмоции, и те, кто находились вокруг него, они также под этим впечатлением получали те же эмоции.
Jagannath Babaji Maharaj was an illustrious Vaishnava exhibiting always deep sattvic bhavs. When he heard the names of Nityananda, he would cry. He would exhibit all other sattvic bhavs, and those other Vaishnavas who were nearby would feel his great bhav also. They would experience his feelings.
Он только что пели баджан, и в этом баджане очень так ярко описано то, насколько он был привязан к Нитянанде Прабху.
Was singing bhajan, which reflected how deeply Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was attached to Nityananda.
И Шрила Бхактивинода Тхакур в этот момент он принял Джаганатха Бабаджи Махараджа как Шикша-гуру, но это не означает, что он неуважительно относился к Диша-гуру.
And Bhaktivinoda Thakur was so inspired by Srila Jagannath Babaji Maharaj, he accepted him as his Shiksha Guru, but that in no way diminished his honor and reverence for his Diksha Guru.
Потому что в этот момент он почувствовал, что по духу Бхакти он его вдохновлял.
Because he felt like this personality would inspire Bhaktivinoda Thakur's own service and his own mood. And his service to his guru as well.
К сожалению, через какое-то время в линии Дикши Бхактивинода Тхакура появились разные идеи, странные идеи.
Bhaktivinoda Thakur received his Diksha initiation in the Goswami lineage, and at a certain point in time, there some strange ideas started appearing, circulating within that line.
И один из моментов то, что начали обсуждать, почему Chaitanya Mahaprabhu подарил Шадарам Шиладину даст Госвами.
One of the arguments or discussions within that line was whether or not Mahaprabhu gave Giriraj Shila to Raghunath Das Goswami.
И этими размышлениями пришли к выводу, что он просто был из касты Шурика.
And basically they were thinking like he gave him not Shalagram but Govardhan Shila because Raghunath Das Goswami was from lower caste of Kayasta, and that's why he gave him a less important.
Это очень большое благословение по отношению к чистому вайшнаву, ровно Госвами, то есть Prayojan Thakur.
But such thinking was a grave offense towards such an elevated Vaishnava, our Prayojan Acharya, Srila Raghunatha Das Swami, to consider him in any way in terms of caste, birth.
Хари Бхактивинода говорится, что любой человек, любой варны, он может подняться шудрами шире, если он является вайшнавом.
Hari Bhaktivinoda, it exalts the qualities of Vaishnava above any caste consideration in the varnas, and says anyone, it doesn't matter of the social considerations, if he's a Vaishnava, he has a right to serve Shalagram Shila.
Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, он после этого в своем баджан-кутире на дверях прикрепил листочек и написал линию Бхагавата Парампары, которую мы сейчас видим, Шикша Бхагавата Парампара.
And having found out about these kind of offensive type of ideas coming from his own Diksha line, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was heartbroken, and kind of at some point he put out a piece of paper in which he wrote out a list of Bhagavad Guru Parampara the way we see it now represented on our altars, what he considered his true Bhagavad Guru Parampara was.
И таким образом он показал, что в этой Дикша Парампаре Пачарата Павидхи есть изъян.
That was his also expressing his position on how he's seeing these flaws in Pancharatric lines, Pancharatric Guru Parampara, that there were things that were not proper, didn't represent the current of pure bhakti.
И он учит тому, что анги бхакти, другой анги бхакти мы можем тоже получить бхакти через ангу бхакти, как через слушание, воспевание, пометование, как Бхагавата Парампара.
Еще раз.
Бхагавата Парампара, она основывается на слушании, воспевании и пометовании.
And Bhagavad Guru Parampara is like based on the listening, telling Harikatha
Как анга бхакти.
as an anga of bhakti.
Вайди Бхакти, она основана на Панчаратрике, на ритуалах.
And Vaidya Bhakti is based on Pancharatri, on Vidhis.
И снова же, благодаря Бхактивинода Thakura, Бхакти, оно пролилось, как эта ганга, как это мы вспоминали Бхаратха Махарадж, как ганга, она прошла через Бхактивинода Thakura и в сердца всех вайшнавов искренне, которые хотят следовать этому пути на Западе, в Индии.
And just like the Ganges descended to this earth, the current of pure bhakti came through the heart of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, spread around like streams to the hearts of all the individuals, Vaishnavas all over the world.
Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai,
Jai.
Mirandasya Jnanam Jana Salakaya Chakshuru Militam Jana Tasmu Shri Gurave Namaha. En primer lugar quiero ofrecer mis reverencias a mis padres, que fueron mis primeros maestros, pusieron en mí la fe en mi corazón, me predicaron con su ejemplo y me enseñaron a rezar. Y me acercaron al Maestro Jesús, que con sus enseñanzas y con su ejemplo, de una u otra forma, me llevó hasta los pies de Srila Prabhupada, a los escritos y los libros de Srila Prabhupada. Yo no le conocí por eso.
First of all, I'd like to express my gratitude and give my obeisances to my parents who
pusieron por mí la fe en Dios, la semilla de la fe en Dios.
who put the seed of devotion to God in my heart, and who taught me how to pray and also taught me by their example. and also brought me to Jesus Christ, who one way or another guided me towards eventually finding the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada.
Ofrezco mi reverencia a Srila Prabhupada, que de una u otra forma me condujo a mi Diksha Guru, Srila Bhaktivinoda Maharaj.
And I offer my obeisances to Srila Prabhupada, who one way or another led me to eventually find my Diksha Guru, Srila Bhakti Vaibhav Puri Goswami Maharaj.
Y Srila Bhaktivinoda Maharaj me dio permiso para tomar refugio en Srila Narayana Maharaj.
And Srila Bhakti Vaibhav Puri Goswami Maharaj gave me his consent to take shelter of the lotus feet of Srila Narayana Maharaj.
Ofrezco mis reverencias a ellos.
So I offer my obeisances to all of them.
Y cuando Srila Bhaktivinoda Narayana Maharaj dejó este mundo en 2010, me sentí como muy huérfano.
And when Srila Bhaktivinoda Narayana Goswami Maharaj left this world in 2010, I was feeling a bit like an orphan.
Y 2 años después, en 2012, Srila Prem Goswami Maharaj apareció en mi vida en la Área Mandala.
And 2 years later, in 2012, Srila Gurudev appeared in my life by arriving at New Rajamandal in Spain, here in Spain.
Y les ofrezco a ellos todas mis humildes reverencias.
So I offer my humble obeisances to all of them.
Entonces, hoy celebramos la desaparición de Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, el séptimo Goswami. Se han explicado muchas cosas de él, estamos muy endeudados con él.
So today we are celebrating the Divine Disappearance Day of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the seventh Goswami. Many things have been explained about him.
Srila Gurudev le cita en el libro de primeros auxilios para el canto del Santo Nombre.
Srila Gurudev quotes him in the book about the first aid for the chanting of the holy name.
Le cita como el ejemplo de la realización perfecta del Yuga Dharma de Stara, que es el canto del Santo Nombre.
He quotes him as the person who realized perfectly the Yuga Dharma of this age, which is the chanting of the holy name of Krishna.
Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, uno de los libros más importantes que escribió es Saranagati.
Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote Sharanagati, which is one of his most important works.
Saranagati es el sendero de la entrega al Señor Supremo.
Sharanagati is the path of surrender to the Supreme Lord.
Y él dio el ejemplo durante toda su vida, dio ejemplo en todo, dio ejemplo como padre, como discípulo, como maestro, como instructor para todas las generaciones venideras.
And he gave an example throughout his whole life in many aspects, as a father, as a husband, as a householder, and left that example as a legacy for all the coming generations.
Usaba el tiempo de una forma perfecta.
He utilized his time in a perfect way.
Él se levantaba muy temprano, cantaba 64 rondas.
He rose very early, chanted 64 rounds.
Se iba a trabajar como magistrado en la corte de Calcuta.
Went to work as a magistrate in the court of Calcutta.
Crió 10 hijos, aunque tuvo muchos más, se le murieron varios.
He raised 10 children. He had more, but many of them died.
Y dice que los ingleses se quedaron sorprendidos de la facilidad que tenía de resolver los casos judiciales.
And it is said that the English wondered, they were amazed at how easily he was able to solve all the cases.
Nos dio más de 100 libros para leer, para alimentar nuestra alma.
He left behind more than 100 books for us to read and nourish our souls.
Y fue el ejemplo perfecto del Yuga Dharma, de cómo practicar el canto del Santo Nombre.
And he gave the perfect example of the Yuga Dharma, how to chant the holy name.
Y él describe, Srila Gurudev explicaba en este librito, bueno, en la charla que dio en Astrakhan acerca de los primeros auxilios para cantar el Santo Nombre, pues le cita como el ejemplo perfecto de rendición.
So in this talk that Gurudev gave in Astrakhan and the book that was made with the content of that talk, he quotes Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur as the perfect example of realization in chanting the holy name, and especially the perfect example of Sharanagati surrender.
Cita el verso del Bhagavad-gita de Sarvadharma Parityagya Mam Ekam Saranam Braya. Dice, Saranam Braya significa Saranam, entregarse, pero en la línea de los devotos de Prem.
So he is quoting this verse, which says, Saranam Braya, surrender to me, to Krishna, but following in the footsteps of the residents of Braj.
Y eso es Saranagati, ¿no? El sendero de la entrega, renunciar a las cosas del mundo para entregarse a Dios.
And this is Sharanagati, the path of surrendering and letting go of the things of this world to give our life to God.
Entonces en la última canción se llama Krishna Nama Dare Kotobal, que significa ¿qué poder tiene tan grande el santo nombre del Señor?
So the last song of this book, Sharanagati, is called like this, and it means what great power is in the holy name of the Lord.
Y esto lo describe Gurudev cuando habla de Vastu Shakti, la fuerza intrínseca que tiene el santo nombre.
And this is quoted by Gurudev when he's talking about Vastu Shakti, the great inherent power that is present in the holy name.
Cualquier logro que tengamos no es por nosotros, es por la propia fuerza del santo nombre.
Anything we might accomplish, it's not by our own strength, it's by the power of the holy name.
Entonces la última canción de Saranagati se llama Krishna Nama Dare Kotobal, qué fuerza tiene, él va describiendo el proceso por el que todos tenemos que pasar.
So in this final song of Sharanagati, which is called What Power is in the Holy Names of the Lord, he describes the process that we all have to go through.
Y empieza diciendo que él estaba pasando por el desierto. Estaba pasando por el desierto porque había renunciado al placer del mundo, pero todavía no tenía sabor por el santo nombre.
So he starts saying that he was finding himself in the middle of the desert because he had forsaken all the things of this world, but he still hadn't developed taste for the holy name.
Dice, mi corazón estaba como la ardiente arena del desierto.
So he says, my heart was like the blazing sand of the desert.
Dice, pero de repente un día sentí que el santo nombre estaba vivo.
But then suddenly one day he says, I felt that the holy name was alive.
Dice, el santo nombre que escuché de los labios de mi Gurudev estaba vivo en mi corazón y subía hacia la garganta.
He said, the holy name of the Lord that I had heard from the lotus lips of my Gurudev was alive, and it was rising from my heart all the way up to my throat.
Y exclama, dice, qué placer, qué belleza.
And he says, what pleasure, what bliss, what beauty.
Entonces el santo nombre se instaló en mi lengua y empecé a cantar sin esfuerzo.
And so the holy name became installed on my tongue, and then the chanting appeared effortlessly.
Dice, entonces cuando el sobrenatural aire vital, el prana del santo nombre, tocó el agua de mi cuerpo, empezaron a ponerse de punta mis vellos, los pelos de punta.
So he says, when the supernatural prana of the holy name came in contact with the water in my body, then I felt horripilation, my hairs were standing on end.
Y cuando tocó el elemento fuego de mi cuerpo, empecé a sudar.
And when it touched the fire element in my body, I started sweating.
Y cuando tocó el espacio, el akash de mi cuerpo, me sentía desmayarme.
And when it touched the akash, the space in my body, I felt like I was about to faint.
y mis piernas querían bailar, saltar y bailar.
and my legs wanted to jump and dance.
Y dice este santo nombre, que le llama Upadravi. Upadravi significa el revoltoso, juguetón, travieso.
And he calls the holy name Upadravi, which means mischievous and restless.
Y yo pensaba, ¿y ahora qué quieres de mí?
And I was thinking, now what do you want from me?
Pero lo que tú quieras, yo estoy completamente entregado a ti.
But whatever it is that you want, I'm completely surrendered to you.
Y entonces mi lengua empezó a cantar, y de repente vi la figura del Señor enfrente de mí.
So my tongue started chanting and chanting and chanting, and suddenly I saw the form of the Lord in front of me.
Y seguía cantando, y de repente se abrió y vi todo Vrindavan, vi el escenario de Vrindavan.
And I kept chanting and chanting and chanting, and suddenly the whole scenery opened up of Vrindavan.
Y empecé a sentir las cualidades, la dulzura de Krishna, la bondad de Krishna, el humor de Krishna.
And I started feeling the qualities of Krishna, his beauty, his humor, his sweetness.
Y seguí cantando, mi lengua cantaba más y más, y de repente entré en el hospital, en Goloka Vrindavan.
And I kept chanting more and more, and suddenly I entered into that world of Goloka Vrindavan.
Con mi cuerpo espiritual entré en Goloka Vrindavan.
With my spiritual body, I went inside Goloka Vrindavan.
Y entonces el Señor Krishna me dio mi nombre, Kamala Manjari.
And so Lord Krishna gave me my name, Kamala Manjari.
Entonces Srila Thakur explica que este es el proceso, ¿no? Primero tenemos que pasar por el desierto.
So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that this is the process. First we have to go through the desert.
Lo que no entiendo es que siendo Kamala Manjari, ¿por qué él tuvo que pasar por el desierto?
What I don't understand is why, being Kamala Manjari, he had to go through the desert.
Es como, esto ahora le pregunto a Guru, es como por ejemplo Arjuna cuando hace el papel de que está confundido, que es Yogamaya la que viene y le hace esta aparente confusión para mostrar, para que Krishna pueda hablar el Gita y podamos beneficiarnos, o es otra cosa.
So this question I'm now asking Gurudev, if it's it's like Arjuna, that he has this pastime where Yogamaya comes and blurs his understanding so that we can all benefit from the instruction that Krishna gives him to help him come through this confusion.
Yes, it's correct. This is correct, that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he teaches the world various things through his devotees.
Que Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, que es correcto lo que digo de Yogamaya, que Chaitanya Mahaprabhu enseñó muchas cosas a través de sus devotos.
Just as in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna became confused, but it was Krishna's arrangement that he would become confused so that Krishna could give him transcendental knowledge in the Bhagavad Gita. So similarly, the associates of the Lord come to this world and perform their pastimes as if ordinary persons to give an example for us how to go through the stages of perfection.
Sí, igual que Arjuna fue confundido por Krishna para hacer este pasatiempo que pudiera darle todas las instrucciones para el beneficio de todas las generaciones futuras, de la misma forma el Señor hace estos arreglos con sus devotos y parece que son seres humanos ordinarios que pasan por las etapas que pasamos los seres humanos ordinarios.
Sometimes an eternal associate will teach us how to follow the path of bhakti, how to do the right things. And sometimes even an eternal associate, Mahaprabhu will use them to teach us what not to do also.
Que a veces los devotos puros del Señor nos enseñan qué hacer y a veces también nos enseñan qué no hacer.
For example, Ramachandra Puri was very critical of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Por ejemplo, Ramachandra Puri era muy crítico hacia el Señor.
And but he is actually the incarnation of Jyotila.
Él es la encarnación, sin embargo, él es la encarnación de Yatila.
So Jatila is Radharani's mother-in-law who is criticizing Radharani. So when she comes as a Ramachandra and criticizes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Entonces, Jatila en el mundo espiritual pues critica a Krishna. Entonces cuando vino aquí como Ramachandra Puri, criticaba a Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
So through him, Mahaprabhu is teaching, don't behave like this, but it's also through an eternal associate.
Y siendo un eterno asociado, una eterna asociada del Señor en el mundo espiritual, vino a este mundo para enseñarnos qué es lo que no debemos de hacer.
When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went on the tour of South India, he was accompanied by one Kalakrishna Das.
Cuando el Señor Chaitanya hizo toda la peregrinación por el sur de la India, iba acompañado por el Kalakrishna Das.
Going out of the association of Mahaprabhu, he associated with some gypsies.
Y la parte de asociarse con Mahaprabhu se asociaba con algunos gitanos.
And he became implicated in some unvirtuous activities.
Y se ocupó en algunas actividades poco virtuosas.
But Mahaprabhu came there very mercifully and took him by the seat and pulled him out
Y Chaitanya Mahaprabhu con
of that dangerous association.
fue a él, le agarró de la sica y le apartó de esa mala asociación.
But even Kalakrishna Das is eternal associate of Krishna.
Pero Kalakrishna Das es un eterno asociado de Krishna.
So we see that the eternal associates of the Lord, they come to this world and they teach, sometimes by the will of Mahaprabhu, the right thing to do, and sometimes they teach us negatively what we should not do.
Así pues aprendemos esto, ¿no? Que muchos asociados eternos del Señor, devotos puros, vienen a este mundo y nos enseñan cosas que debemos hacer y otras veces nos enseñan con su ejemplo cosas que no debemos de hacer. Thank you very much. Bueno, simplemente decir que acaba este pasaje diciendo que hasta que uno no supera la etapa de anarta nivritti, hasta que uno no se libera de todas las malas cualidades, dice, no puedo disfrutar de la felicidad real.
So this passage ends with Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur saying that until we have gone through anarta nivritti fully, we cannot taste transcendental happiness and leave behind material suffering.
Jai Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, Quiero también compartir un pequeño inciso. Mi padre me enseñó a repartir los créditos. Cuando algo sucede y tú estás involucrado, pues me enseñó a repartir los créditos. Entonces este evento se está produciendo porque Gurudev está aquí, pero Gurudev está aquí porque Sridevi, desde Vrindavan, lo mandó a Sikhi Mahiti, a Nueva Orilla Mandal, a mi pequeño ashram, para ver si podíamos preparar un festival en el año 2012.
So he would just like to add a little something that
Mi padre me enseñó a repartir los créditos.
because his father taught him to give credit, due credit to everyone. So if we are here, it's thanks to Sri Devi, who 10 years ago sent Sikhi Mahiti to go to New Rajamandal, where Anadi used to live, and make a festival there.
Y este lugar concretamente, así como los ashram de Logroño, pues tenemos que también agradecer a Arjuna Prabhu. ¿Arjuna Prabhu está? Porque es muy niño. Pero Arjuna Prabhu es el punta de lanza, que es en castellano, es un punta de lanza que va abriendo camino y sacando entidades vivientes condicionadas, presentándolas a mí y yo a Gurudev.
So it was also thanks to the mercy of Arjun Prabhu, who is like the head of the spear here in Spain, bringing many conditioned souls out of Maya, and together with me we bring them over to Gurudev so he can take care of them.
Él hizo un curso muy famoso en Logroño que se llamaba era Proyecto ARE, Atención Recuerda.
So he developed a project in Logroño called Attention Remember.
He was Project ARE, with no H, ARE, Attention Remember. Y de aquel curso pues había muchos de los devotos que hay en Logroño, hay 44 iniciados de Srila Purimadas. Y aquí en Sevilla entró también como una punta de lanza, removió el océano y sacó pues a Chutananda, Paramananda, los 4 o 5 devotos, ¿no?
With this course, he brought many people to the lotus feet of Srila Bhaktivinoda Puri Goswami Maharaj, 44 in Logroño, and he also came here to Seville with the spear and brought many people out of the ocean. All of the devotees that are here, most of them arrived to Gurudev through Arjun Prabhu.
Jai Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai.
Oh, Rajanath Prabhu, can you make your shorter pushman?
Om Gyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Narayana Parayana Jadapankarana Shana Rupanugamrita Prema Prayojana Ete Namaha. Шрила Гурудева тоже мне поручил сегодня сказать несколько слов Шрада Пушпанджали о славе Шрила Бхактивинода Thakura.
Srila Gurudeva ordered me as well today to say a few words glorifying Sapta Goswami Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur.
Шри Кришна говорит в Бхагавад-гите: «Ядьята чарити шришхас таттата ветароджанаха саят праманам куруте локаста танувардате». Когда великий спутник Господа приходит в этот мир, то он является собой пример, как правильно следовать внешне по пути бхакти, также внутренне.
Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita explains that when a great devotee of the Lord comes to this world, he sets an example externally and internally of how to practice bhakti properly.
И все преданные начинают следовать за таким саду, за таким вайшнавом.
And others will start following the example of such a sadhu.
И мы знаем, что существуют разные группы вайшнавов, например, шри-вайшнавы из Южной Индии, которые представляют мир Вайкунтхи.
We know there are different sampradayas, and for example, Sri Sampradaya Vaishnavas, they share the world of Vaikuntha Dham with people of this world, like they share the knowledge about Vaikuntha.
Это настроение Швари Гьяны, и полностью сознают божественность Господа и, соответственно, ему поклоняются благоговением и почтением.
Basically, their Ishtadev is Lord Narayana in his most opulent Aishwarya manifestation, and that's what really attracts them, and that's what they emphasize in their spiritual practice.
Также существует группа вайшнавов, которые представляют мир Галоки, это мир Мадурьи.
Also, there are Vaishnavas in this world who are representatives of the sweetness of Lord Krishna, and they're the representatives of Madhurya, of Galok.
Которые предпочитают аспект сладости Господа.
They really prefer, in the Lord, they prefer to see Madhurya, that's more interesting, attractive aspect of the Lord for them.
И когда они приходят сюда, то они являют пример, образец своего настроения, чтобы передать это другим живым существам.
And they become the living examples for other living beings. They broadcast their mood, their attitude towards their Ishtadev to everybody around them.
И поэтому их называют ачарья.
Therefore they're called acharyas.
И Шрила Бхактивинода Thakura, мы все знаем, это Камала Манджари, и он пришел, чтобы продолжить линию Госвами и всей нашей Гуруварги.
It's not a secret for anyone that Bhaktivinoda Thakur's transcendental form, his eternal swarup is swarup of Kamala Manjari, a maidservant of Srimati Radhika, and he came to teach the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fully in line, Siddhantically, and from Rasa Vichara in line with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Goswamis.
И вот когда такие великие спутники Господа являются в этом мире, то мы можем видеть, что с одной стороны они являют Нарават Лилу, такие игры, подобные человеческим.
And it's also amazing when such great Vaishnavas, such dear eternal associates of the Lord come to this world. From one perspective, vantage point, we see them showing Naravat-like behavior and life.
Но в то же самое время они являются очень могущественную садану.
But also we're seeing that they're fully empowered because their sadhana is not on the level of a regular mortal, so their spiritual strength is immense.
Чтобы показать нам пример, образец, как мы должны следовать правильно процессу бхакти.
On one hand, they look and behave and live like an ordinary human being, but on the other hand we see their immense spiritual power and they become an example and inspiration to others, and they share that spiritual strength with others, helping to bring everybody up to that level of intensity in chanting the holy names.
День явления Вайшнава — это Авирбхав Махотсав называется.
Appearance days of Vaishnavas are called Avirbhav Mahotsava.
Это значит, что Вайшнав становится проявленным или видимым для чувств обусловленных живых существ.
Avirbhav, appearance, basically the day when Vaishnava became visible to the limited mortal senses of human beings.
А Тиробхав Махотсав означает, что он перестает быть видимым.
And the disappearance day is called Tirabhav, basically the day when he stops being visible, perceivable by the material senses of others.
И уход Вайшнава — это праздник разлуки. Вы уже слышали, что значит Вираха сегодня.
As Madhavadas Brahmachari shared with us today already, we heard what Viraha is, the festival of separation, at the same day which is a special meeting with the great Vaishnava.
Слово Махотсава — это значит Маха-Утсаха.
Mahotsava is a conjunction of two words, Maha Utsava.
Это великий энтузиазм.
It's great enthusiasm.
Потому что мы всегда счастливы, когда отмечаем день явления Вайшнава, но также Вайшнавы радуются, когда мы отмечаем день ухода Вайшнава.
Maha Utsava is like great celebration, happiness, because of course it's very pleasing for Vaishnava when we honor them for their appearance day, but it's also very special when we experience that bittersweet separation and internal meeting with the dear Vaishnava.
Это праздник великого энтузиазма, потому что мы теперь можем прославить чистого преданного.
So it's the day of great enthusiasm and an opportunity to glorify pure devotee.
Вот на примере Шрила Бхактивинода Thakura мы уже слышали, что он прошел через многие трудности в своей жизни.
We heard that during his life, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur had to face and overcome many difficulties.
Шрила Бхактивинода Thakura явился в этот мир 2 сентября 1838 года.
He appeared in this world on September 2nd, 1838.
В деревне Бирнагар, в семье состоятельных землевладельцев.
In the family of Zamandars in Bengal.
И с самого детства он проявлял такие удивительные качества.
Rich landowners, and from childhood he looked like a special child already, in a good sense.
Такого гениального ребенка. В 2 года он написал первый свой стих.
I mean, he looked like a genius, even when he was 2 years old. Little genius. At 2 years old, he composed his first poem.
А к 6 годам он уже знал все истории, все лилы из Махабхараты и Рамаяны.
When he was 6, he already knew all the leelas from Ramayana, Mahabharata, all the stories, all the characters.
И его отец, он отдал его в школу санскрита. Его учителем был Видя Вичаспати, и он очень быстро освоил санскрит.
And then father quickly enrolled the boy, this talented boy who was showing a lot of academic potential, into a good Sanskrit school. Vidya Vichaspati was his professor of Sanskrit, and very quickly he mastered Sanskrit easily.
И несмотря на то, что его прапрадед был инициирован самим Нитянандой Прабху, тем не менее его семьяне не были вайшнавами.
Krishnananda, right? Despite the fact that his great-great-great-grandfather, Krishnananda, was initiated by Nityananda Prabhu himself, the later generations of the family weren't practicing Vaishnavas.
И вот в поисках духовного развития он изучал очень много философий, общался там с представителями тантриков, те, кто почитатели богини Дурги, но очень быстро разочаровался в их философиях, наставлениях.
Okay, and that from childhood, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was looking everywhere for answers to his existential questions, for his deep thirst for the theological, spiritual knowledge couldn't be quenched. He looked to tantrics, to Baals, to fakirs, to Christians for answers to the questions that he had, that he couldn't find answers to.
Но позже он получил юридическое образование и получил работу магистра.
And later he obtained a law degree and began to work as a magistrate.
И ему по работе приходилось бывать в разных регионах, и тогда он встретился со Шри Чайтаньей Чаритамритой.
And he had to travel a lot due to the nature of his work. And during one of his business trips like this across India, he found Chaitanya Charitamrita, he discovered.
То есть перед этим он очень увлекался христианством, но когда он изучил наставления Шри Чайтаньи Махапрабху, он понял, что христианство это тоже относится к категории бхакти, но учение Чайтаньи Махапрабху это превосходит намного и христианство, и другие учения.
Prior to encountering ideas of Vaishnavism, Gaudiya Vaishnavas, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was already a devout Christian. He really found a lot of inspiration in Christian tradition. But later, when he discovered that there is local savior, Nadia savior, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he understood that it's a higher knowledge, but Christianity fully falls under the umbrella of traditional bhakti. And he felt like he finally found his home, his place in spiritual realm, and began to actively, full-heartedly practice bhakti.
Позже ему необходимо было, он поселился в Джаганнатхапуре, это необходимо было связано с работой, и там он организовал группу изучения шастр.
Later on, his work duties brought him to Jagannath Puri, where he settled with his family, and there he organized a local group to study Shastra.
И он под руководством возвышенных преданных изучал сандарпи Шрилы Дживы Госвами, а изучать сандарпи то же самое, что изучать Шримад Бхагаватам.
And there, under the guidance of senior devotees, he was studying Sandarbhas of Jiva Goswami Pad, and studying Sandarbhas of Jiva Goswami Pad is not different than from studying Srimad Bhagavatam.
Потому что сандарпи, они описывают главные стихи Шримад Бхагаватам, и также некоторые нюансы философии гаудеев в связи с Самбандой, Бхедой и Prayojan.
Because Sandarbhas of Jiva Goswami Pad, they delineate Sambandha, Bheda, Prayojana, citing main important shlokas from Srimad Bhagavatam and explaining Siddhanta in the proper light.
Также они изучали комментарий Шидары с вами на Шримад Бхагаватам и комментарий Баладева Видябушина на Веданта Сутру.
And together, this group of Vaishnavas, they were studying Sridhar Swami's commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam, and they were studying commentaries on Vedanta Sutra of Srila Baladeva Vidyabhushana.
Вот таким образом Бхактивинода Тхакур являет пример, как необходимо, какие усилия нужно приложить, что это в течение 2 лет происходило, какие усилия нужно приложить, чтобы правильно понять Гаудия Вайшнава Сиддханту.
And also Bhaktivinoda Thakur, by this is showing the extra effort Vaishnava should put in studying Siddhanta. He was like a very busy man, a father of many children, head of the family, also with a very important job, and he's showing for 2 years, he's painstakingly studying these important shastras to get all the nuances of Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy.
Сиддханта Валичита Накаралат. В этой стихе говорится, что искренний ученик, он не будет считать напрасной тратой времени глубокое изучение Сиддханты, потому что в конце концов позволит ему обрести ништху, и он сможет осознать прекрасный образ Господа Кришны в сердце.
There is an injunction that the Vaishnava should not be lazy, should study Siddhanta, even though it seems unpalatable or difficult or dry sometimes, but a smart Satshishi understands it's very important to study Siddhanta because it actually strengthens the faith and brings one to the level of Nishta and then allows him to truly taste sweetness of Krishna after reaching Guruji.
В 42 года Шрила Бхактивинода Тхакур получил.
Before Guruji comes, we cannot understand Siddhanta.
И нужно понять, что до того, как придет Ручи, Сиддханту понять невозможно по-настоящему.
means that until at least a little ruchi comes, then it's not possible to understand clearly what is Bhakti-tattva.
Бхакти-таттва не будет понятной до той поры, пока хоть немножко ручи не начнет проявляться.
But the Javaite Krishna, like Sramanas, when we make some strong effort to try to understand Siddhanta, it makes our mind fixed in Krishna. Then actually taste will come and then we'll understand clearly.
Но все равно важно прилагать усилия, потому что это укрепляет наше понимание, то есть дает нам зрелость. А уже когда ручи придет, тогда уже вся полная картина станет ясна как день. Мне нравится презентация. Биографию послушать Бхактивинода Thakura. Продолжай.
На самом деле я тоже пересказываю лекцию Шрилы Гурудева.
Actually, I'm also retelling the class I heard of Srila Gurudeva.
В 42 года Шрила Бхактивинода Thakur получил дикшу у Випина Бихари Госвами. Да. И он является представителем школы Нитянанда Вамша, то есть Джати Гасай. Это потомки приемного сына Джанави Такурани Рамай Такур.
When Bhaktivinoda Thakur was 42, when he turned 42, he received Diksha initiation from a lineage, like Goswami family lineage, Bihari Goswami, who was representing the line coming from an adopted son of Janava Thakurani, Jat Gosai.
Шрила Гурудева рассказывал, что мы можем видеть, что вот это вот их парампара или паривара до сих пор существует, они как бы презентуют себя потомками, прямыми потомками Господа Нитянанды, мы можем видеть, что даже родственной связи нету, потому что это был приемный сын.
But not everybody knows that really that line takes place from the son who was an adopted son of Janava Thakurani. There is no really biological connection with Nityananda Prabhu, but until this day we often see representatives of those lines, Nityananda Vamsh, introducing themselves as direct descendants from Nityananda Prabhu, which is kind of deceptive if you understand that there is no, that if they treasure biological connection so much, but there isn't a biological connection there at all.
И Шрила Бхактивинода Thakur, он всегда выражал почтение своему дикша-гуру, когда он приходил к нему домой, и даже он кланялся ему, а его дикша-гуру ставил свои стопы ему на голову. Но Бхактисиddhanta Сарасвати, он был очень недоволен этим, говорит, лучше так не надо тебе делать, давал ему наставление.
And that guru was even younger than Bhaktivinoda Thakur, right?
He was about 30 years old.
Да, и гуру был гораздо моложе, он был где-то 30 лет, он гораздо моложе Бхактивинода Thakura был, дополнительный фактор.
Jagannath's Babaji was 120.
А Jagannath's Babaji 120. То есть, so basically Bhaktivinoda Thakur always showed utmost respect to his Diksha Guru whenever he went for darshan, he bowed down, and Vipina Bihari Goswami, who was like a lot young, 12 years younger almost than Bhaktivinoda Thakur, would put his feet on his head to bless him, and that really annoyed Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who was young, and he didn't like when his dad did it. He always said like, oh, you don't have to do that.
И мы знаем, что позже представители этой парампоры они начали критиковать Госвами Вриндавана, вы уже слышали, в частности, Шрила Рагунатха Дас Госвами, и тогда Бхактивинода Тхакур оставил его и принял полное прибежище в Джаганнатхе Прабхупады.
Bhaktivinoda Thakur very genuinely accepted the line, Diksha for marriages, and to the best of his ability he was honoring his, this Pancharatric Diksha line, but when these unfortunate ideas started sprouting, these kind of like apasidantic ideas, very disrespectful ideas towards Raghunath Goswami started sprouting in that line, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, it gave him pain to his heart, and he kind of quietly started distancing himself from that line by accepting the shelter of Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. his guidance.
Еще очень важный вклад Бхактивинода Thakura, то, что к тому времени, когда Бхактивинод Thakур жил на этой планете, то очень много отклонившихся гаудия-вайшнавских сект, они как бы расплодились, и они представляли себя гаудия-вайшнавами, но на самом деле они полностью исказили учение Chaitanya Махапрабху.
At that point of history when Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur came to this world, by then, since the disappearance of the 6 Goswamis, over those some hundreds of years, many Apasampradayas have grown and developed and bred. And so there were many people who identified themselves as Vaishnavas, or others identified them as Vaishnavas, but they were really far from true ideas and conduct of Gaudiya Vaishnavas.
Еще Бхактивинод Thakур, также Бхактивинода Сарасвати Thakур Прабхупад, они восстановили авторитет Гаудия Вайшнава, потому что аристократы того времени, они, видя такое непристойное поведение, вот эти представители Апасампрадая, они полностью отвернулись от Гаудия Вайшнава.
So Apasampradayas were not popular anymore among intelligentsia and educated people and noble people of India, because just the conduct was really undignified. So Gaudiya Vaishnavas lost their respect and standing in the society, and it was the Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur who worked tirelessly to restore that honor and respect that Gaudiya Vaishnavas should always command in any society.
Также есть известная история с Нав-йогом Вишкишаной, который представлялся самим Бхагаваном, но при этом он танцевал расалилу и совращал женщин, тоже его разоблачил и явил миру чистое учение, кто на самом деле является Верховным Господом.
There's also a story that Bhaktivinoda Thakur's involvement in arrest and later persecution charges pressed against this tantric Vishkishan, who had some yogic tejas and powers, and he would introduce himself to simple-minded Indian masses as Bhagavan himself and scheduling rasalilas in different villages, but he was corrupting the morals of many women and just bringing degrading ideas to people, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur just put forth all he had, all the strength and influence to arrest this yogi and then make sure that he faces justice and persecution to assure people that this is no way Bhagavan. It's all nonsense and just fairy tales for grandmas.
Что было несколько таких случаев, кто представлял себя Шивой и Брахмой, и также Бхактивинод Thakур разоблачал их.
In India, it's a common thing that different people, different times introduce themselves as Shiva, Brahma, this guru, that guru, and Narayan himself. And there were few instances where Bhaktivinoda Thakur went after such rascals and cheaters to show people, what is there is true bhakti and Bhagavan, and these are just imposters and clowns, and one should not follow them.
Также Шрила Бхактивинод Thakур написал огромное количество баджанов, которые мы все поем, сборник Шаранагати, где представлены все 6 ступеней ведания себя. Шрила Гурудев в Риме объяснил очень красиво баджан Амара Дживана.
And we already heard also the legacy of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, our inheritance of all these bhajans he wrote, and we heard about the songbook Sharanagati that explains 6 stages of Sharanagati. And when we were in Rome, Gurudeva beautifully explained the ideas, sentiments of one of the bhajans from Sharanagati.
Потому что иногда преданные, когда в первый раз слышат перевод этого баджана, их это даже шокирует, удивляются, почему такой святой вайшнав, он так о себе говорит. Там говорится, что я всю жизнь грешил, постоянно завидовал, делал зло, это предоставляло удовольствие.
And I'm so happy Gurudeva took the time to explain this bhajan in the proper light, because sometimes new devotees, or even veteran devotees, are a bit shocked at the translation of this bhajan. They're thinking, how come the Sapta Goswami, pure Vaishnava, is describing how the whole life he was so envious, greedy, lusty, is just such a sinner. What is this?
Шрила Такур объясняет, что такое даинья или смирение.
Bhaktivinoda Thakur wanted to give us an idea of understanding what is danya,
Потому что
the true humility.
смирение является плодородной почвой для того, чтобы Бхакти-Лата-Биджа могла прорасти.
Because danya is that necessary fertilizer for the soil of our heart, and which helps Bhakti-Lata-Bija grow and mature.
Потому что если мы приходим в храм божествам, и мы считаемся такими великими вайшнавами, то Рада Кришна не даже на нас не посмотрят.
More often than not, we have this consider ourselves karta, and we have this huge abhiman, and we come to the temple just to stare at the deities, you know, and of course Radha Krishna won't be interested even to pay any attention to such a puffed up, you know, conditioned jiva.
Но если преданный приходит с таким раскаянием, смирением, он признается в своих несовершенствах, он сокрушается то, каким греховным и падшим он был, сколько он там, может быть, зла причинил другим, то Рада Кришна примут такого преданного, даже если он до сих пор еще не избавился полностью от каких-то других привычек.
It's a wrong attitude, because that attitude right of the bad dooms one to utter failure to gain any mercy, any favors from the Lord or His representatives. But if one is experiencing burning, you know, repentance, laments over wasted time, over all the evil one has done to himself, to his soul, to others around him, for his envy and lust and greed, and comes in this mood, at least in a humble mood, even without any deep realizations, surely such person will gain some favors, some mercy of the Lord, and you know, receive the mercy in form of sadhu sangha and guidance.
Поэтому очень важно петь баджаны Бхактивинода Такура и проникаться этим настроением.
These are the best. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving us the recipe for the right moods, describing everything minutely of how to teach us to imbibe these moods, and if we sing them and cultivate these, make these moods our own, honestly. First we try them on ourselves, and later slowly they start kind of becoming part of us. And singing these bhajans will bring huge benefit, huge spiritual benefit into our life.
Потому что если мы только поем Хари Кришна, но не поем баджана ачарьев, то очень мала вероятность, что шудханам проявится. Потому что для того, чтобы шудханам пришел, то необходимо правильное настроение развить.
Because if we just only focus on singing Hare Krishna, most likely we won't have the power to overcome, and artists will just always remain at the level of singing Nama Parads. Because we don't have the right moods, and we don't even put any attention or time into correcting this conditioned state that we're in. Therefore, it's very important to have a balance in your spiritual diet, where you spend time singing bhajans of the acharyas and align your own internal and mood and external behavior, and then there is a good chance that we'll overcome namaparads and be able to sing Shuddhanam.
Поэтому каждая наша программа начинается с пения баджана, сначала Гуру Татва, Вайшнав Татва, Горнитай Татва, Шаранагати Татва.
And therefore we see in every one of our programs we observe traditional method of Kram singing, that we always first we worship Guru, Vaishnavas, then we go higher to Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Vaishnava. Then Gaurnitai, and then we sing Radha Krishna.
И таким образом существует определенный храм, то есть последовательность, и мы подходим к Радha Krishna Татве.
So everything is scientific in our practice, you know, and everything is well thought out. There is proper sequence of gradation of how we go higher.
Таким образом мы развиваем правильное настроение в баджане, и также получаем благословение слушать высокую харикатху.
So we're always like in Anugati and moving from down up. We receive favors and blessings of Guru, Vaishnavas, Nityananda Prabhu, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, and then we get an adhikar, an ability to listen to higher harikatha, like rasa katha.
Таким образом, Шрила Бхактивинода Такур являет пример, как преодолевать трудности на пути бхакти, как нужно искать садхусангу, как нужно погружаться в изучение священных писаний. И в конце концов дает нам очень важные наставления, которые касаются начинающих преданных и также самых возвышенных преданных.
So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is like very kindly showed us the whole process, outlined all the stages, cautioned us where there might be some underwater stones, how to avoid obstacles, which could be troublesome stages. And he's given instructions for all levels of adhikaras, from neophytes to more senior, to madhyam, and to evolved Vaishnavas.
И таким образом, своими примерами, своими наставлениями, он помогает нам правильно войти в традицию Гаудии.
And basically by his instructions, his own example, he's teaching us how to enter the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition in a well-adjusted, healthy way to be positioned for success later.
Бхактивинода Тхакур покинул этот мир в 1914 году на день ухода Шрилы Гададхара Пандита.
And Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself left this world, became unmanifest in 1914 on this auspicious Titi, the day of divine disappearance of Gadadhara Pandit.
И Шрила Гурудева тоже объяснял, что Бхактивинода Тхакур является Гададхар Пракашей, проявлением самого Гададхара.
And as Gurudeva taught us that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is considered to be a Prakash of Gadadhara Pandit himself.
Наверное, что он наделен шакти Гададхара Пандита.
That he has the Shakti of Gadadhara Pandit.
Шрила Бхактивинода Тхакур Тирубал Махотсав и Джай! Итак, Гаура Према.
First of all, from my Sastang Dandavat Puspanjali, my heart like flowers thousands of times at the lotus feet of my holy master, my supremely worshipful spiritual Gurudev, Aswadev Paramaradatam Guru Pada Padma, Nitlila Pradishta Om Vishnupad, Ashtodara Tasi Rupanugataya, Srila Bhaktivinoda Narayana Swami Maharaj. Secondly, after my pranam thousands of times at the lotus feet of my Param Gurudev, to Srila Prabhupada, and to all of our Sri Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Parampara. And finally, I offer my pranam to all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, Vajalavatulas and Vaishnavas. Today I am most fortunate to hear from the Vaishnavas the glories of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Gadadhara Pandit. We see that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, not only through his books, his songs, did he teach the profound Gaudiya Siddhanta, but also through his life, through his practical life. Once, the Devatas in heaven, they were having a debate. Indra, Yamaraj, and others who were discussing what is the meaning of this verse of Bhagavad Gita. Apichat sudaracharo padate mamananyabhak. Even if a person who is in his life serving Krishna, not serving any other devatas, only serving Krishna, but he does some wicked or sinful activity, then sadhureva smantavya samyak hito visaha chipram bhavati dharmatva shasmat chantim nigatiti kuntya pratijanahi name bhaktya pranashati. They are wondering. Krishna has said, if such a person who is only devoted to Krishna, not to any devatas, if he'll do some wicked activity by chance, by some purva abhyas, some previous habits, Then, sadhureva samanta, Krishna said you should consider him a sadhu. Why? Samyak vyavahito hi saha, because he is properly situated in his determination. That means he's fixed his goal of life. That means he prays to the Lord, oh my Lord, I have some bad habits that I did not give up. But I will serve you and I will only serve you and I will not serve anyone else. Even if Lord Brahma will come to me and tell me, don't do this bhakti, you should do karma, jnana, yoga, but I'll never do it. I will only serve you. Even if they have to take birth again and again in this world, even in lower species, due to my fallen nature. But my Lord, I will never give up your service. So a person who is weak, fallen, struggling, but he's made his decision, Krishna, I am your servant. Then Krishna said, Sadhu Reva Samantavya. You should think he is a sadhu. Why? Because his fault, his defect is not swabhavik. It's not in his nature. His defect is aghantuk. That means it is in the covering of his soul. It is not coming from his soul, but he still has some heavy covering that has not been removed yet. So, Krishna said, Sadhu Eva Sadhu, you should think he's a sadhu. But then the next verse is Chipram Bhavati Dharmatva Shasvat Shantim Nigatati Kaunteya Pratijana Hina Bhaktya Pranasati. Chipram Bhavati Dharmatva. Chipram means quickly. Bhavati Dharmatva. He becomes Dharmatva, righteous. And he attains peace. Kaunteya Pratijana Hina Bhaktya Pranasati. Krishna says, hey Arjun, you should boldly declare, loudly declare, that my devotee is never vanquished. So when Krishna spoke these verses to Arjun, then Krishna said, Sadhureva Samantavya. Arjun, you should think he's a sadhu. Arjun said, but what if he does this thing? He said, no. If he's my devotee, he's still a sadhu. Arjun said, but what if he does something worse than that? Krishna's eyes became red like fire. He said, Arjun, take a mridanga and kartals and go in the middle of the marketplace and beat them loudly. And tell everyone, he, Krishna's devotee, is a sadhu. So just see how Krishna is very grateful to those who are serving him. If someone tries to serve Krishna, then Krishna sees that service and he doesn't see all the faults. But if someone has many good qualities, attributes, education, skills, and he does so much even pious activities in this world, but he's not serving Krishna, then he's not a sadhu. So bhakti is very precious. Bhakti is a jaiva dharma. It is a true activity of the soul. If it's manifest only a little bit, even, then Krishna's attention will go there, not anywhere else. So by these verses, Krishna is expressing to us the glory of devotion. The Devatas, they understood this, but there was something they could not understand. If someone who is doing bhakti, he is a sadhu, he is simply considered to be a saint, then why is Krishna then saying Chipram Bhavati Dharmatma? He quickly becomes a religious person. Sasvat Santim Nekachati, and he becomes peaceful. Because to be a sadhu is to be higher than a dharmatma. If someone is dharmatma, only religious, following the varnashram dharma, all the rules and regulations of worldly piety, then it's relatively good. But to be a sadhu is to be beyond that. So they were thinking, how is it possible that Krishna will say he's a sadhu and then say he becomes a dharma? So a debate was going on in Swargalok. At that time, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was with his son Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur. They are traveling on a train together. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he took rest on the train. And while he was asleep, then the devatas came and they took him up. And they took him up to Swarg. Because they know, oh, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is a great pure Vaishnava. And he can answer our question. So then, the devatas posed the question to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And then he explained this verse, Chiparam Bhavati Dharmatma Shashvat Santim Negachati. He quickly becomes Dharmatma and then he attains eternal peace. That means he becomes transcendental. That does not refer to the Durachari, to the devotee who does some wrong behavior. It refers to Sadhareva Samantakya Samyabhyahakto Hi Saha. That person who considers the devotee who has some weakness and problem, a sadhu, he quickly becomes purified and he attains eternal perfection. Why? Because that person who nindari shotnya redavipsita sangalavya, his heart is free from the tendency to criticize others. He sees the glory of Bhakti Devi. Even though the others, they will put material piety and impiety above transcendental bhakti. And in this way make an offense to Bhakti Devi herself, the goddess of devotion. But one who does not put material piety and impiety above Bhakti Devi, the goddess of devotion, and loudly declares, oh, he is a sadhu, when all others, even they may criticize. So that person, Krishna quickly gives him mercy, and from wherever he is, he becomes Dharmatma, and then he becomes Sasat Shantim Negatari. Shanti means, in Shastra, Shanti, peace, is actually a synonym for absorbed in pure bhakti. Krishna Bhakta Nishkam Atayeva Shanta. Bhukti Mukti Siddhikami Sakli Ashanta. Sanyasi Krit Samashanto Nishta Shanti Parayana. So, when Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gave this explanation, all the devatas, they showered flowers on him and gave pranams. And they appreciated this explanation very much. So try to take this teaching into your heart. To be very generous with others. To be very forgiving. The faults in others cannot make any damage to your bhakti. Only your own pride and our own offenses can damage our bhakti. So if someone else has a problem in their spiritual life, don't point the finger. Don't make a scandal. Don't criticize. You think it's a test for you. Oh, this is my test. That this situation is a test to reveal whether I have an enemy in my heart or not. Krishna has made a situation some envy of this devotee is there, and Krishna made the situation, I was hiding it, but it should be open to the public. Because the first offense to the holy name, Satam Nenda, Namnam Parama Aparadam Vitanate Yitakatim Yatam Katam Usata Tadvigarham, is to criticize the devotees who have dedicated their life to glorifying the name of Krishna. So be very generous with others, don't become the enemy of someone. Even it happens that there's some philosophical controversy in the Vaishnava community. And someone has one opinion and you have another opinion, and the quarrel comes about. So, if you have understood Siddhanta correctly, by hearing from your Guru Parampara, then you can say something to correct the misunderstanding in others, but in a humble way. Not saying, oh, this is my enemy, and we will fight and I will crush them. You should think, oh, here is a Vaishnava with so many great qualities, more than me. But some misunderstanding has come there. So taking the dust of my Gurudev on my head, I have no power myself. But taking the dust of the feet of my Guru Parampara, I will humbly suggest what is the correct understanding. Otherwise, if we march around the world with big boots in a very heavy way, then we'll make so many offenses. And by this we cannot relish the nectar of the holy name. The holy name is not a simple thing. One who has experienced Shuddha Nam, only he knows what an amazing entity Shuddha Nam Prabhu is. Mahaprabhu said to Nada Pisu Niche Na Tarva Pisisuna Amani Na Manadena Chaitanya Sadari. Considering oneself more humble than a blade of grass, more insignificant than straw in the street, being more tolerant of all difficulties than a tree, and giving respect to everyone, and not being thirsty to be honored by others. Chaitanya Sadari, the holy name of Krishna is to be glorified. So only persons who adopt this position can actually chant purely. And those who are chanting purely, naturally they adopt that position. Why? Because Nam Prabhu is so amazing. Krishna in the form of his holy name. He's so powerful, so sweet, so astonishing, that when the Shuddha name appears, then that devotee falls on the ground. Forever, Dandavat Pranam forever. Nam Prabhu, Haribol, Haribol. Though physically he may stand up, but his heart is always prostrated. His heart is constantly in the state of prostration at the feet of Nam Prabhu. Why? Because Nam Prabhu is so amazing. A person cannot have the experience of Nam and not be in the state of Janada Pisunita, complete prostration. Because the greatness of Nam makes one in that position. And conversely, if one is not in that position, then Nam will not come. So these are the symptoms of the Vaishnava. Vaishnava hite chilamorasat tanada pisu nichen slo parigalavad. One Vaishnava poet, he said, I heard about the glories of the Vaishnavas. So then I decided, I want to be a Vaishnava. I will be a Vaishnava. But then, one big obstacle came in my way. I thought I want to become a Vaishnava, but when I saw the way, then it was blocked. I couldn't. I saw it's extremely difficult. Why? One big obstacle came in my path. It was a verse, Tenada Pisunichi. And I thought, oh, how will I ever be a Vaishnava? Very beautiful poem. So, if we follow our Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and practice every day, try to avoid the offenses to the holy name, to Vaishnavas, slowly, the heart will be purified. Now Prabhu will come, and then automatically, by swabhav, by nature, one becomes Tunara. Who is a Vaishnava? A Vaishnava is someone who is chanting Shuddhanam once. That means they have a darshan of Krishna. Once he is Vaishnava. Who is chanting pure name all the time is Vaishnavatara. This comparatively superior Vaishnava. And Vaishnavataman, who is the highest Vaishnava? Only seeing him, then you begin to chant the holy name. So the degrees of the sainthood, are all relative. They all correspond to our relationship with Nam Prabhu, with the holy name of Krishna. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we are discussing and just saying a few words how through his life he has taught this. Once Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was traveling again with his young son, Bimala Prasad, and quite early in the morning he came to a village. And the villagers, they received him there with great respect, great honor. They said, "Oh Vaishnav Thakur, how did you come here so early? You must have come from nearby." He said, "Yes. When I was traveling here, on the way, it was not possible. The night time came and I could not go any further. So just nearby, I arrived at one old temple. It was an old ruined temple. So we stayed there the night. And this morning, we completed the last part of the journey. So now we are right here early." He said, "Oh, really? You stayed in that old temple? How is it possible? That place is haunted by a ghost." So then, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he said, yes, I know. But I just had kirtan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And all the disturbances stopped. Because when Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and his son, our Prabhupada, they took rest there at night, suddenly, stones were being thrown here and there was a big disturbance. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he got up and began to do kirtan. Everything became peaceful. So then he took rest. So then those villagers, they said, "Oh Vaishnav Thakur, we have a question. We know that this ghost who was haunting everyone, no one could go there at night. He made such a great disturbance. But he was previously the pujari of that temple. And he used to chant the holy names all day, every day. So how is it possible that he became a ghost and you were also chanting the holy name, but then why did he stop making disturbances? Because he was mukta, liberated by the kirtan of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur." So they said he was himself chanting, but he became a ghost. But by your chanting, now he's liberated. How is that? So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that not everyone's chanting is the same. Sadhu Sangha Bhai, Krishna Naam Nahi Hai. Namakshara Bahirai Batu Nama Kabunai. As Sri Jagannatha Pandit said in his Prem Vivarta, unless we have the sadhu sangha, the association of pure devotees, then we cannot chant the Shuddha Nam, the pure name. Rather, Kabu Nama Ba Sada Nama Parad. Mainly we'll chant the aparad, offenses to the name. Occasionally it might be possible for the Nama Bas to come. So, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explained that Namakshara Bahirai, the external syllables of the name, this is not Krishna's name. This is material. Without the mercy of a sadhu, all one's activities, even it seems like devotional activities, but they are karma. And one cannot become free from the bondage of karma. Mahat kripa bina kauna karma bhakti nai, Krishna bhakti duri rahu samsa nahikshay. So, this material body can only produce material sound. Atashi Krishna Namadi Namavad Grayam Indriya. The material senses cannot touch the name, the form, the qualities, the associates of the pastimes of Krishna because they all are prakrita. Aprakrita, transcendental. Aprakrita vastu nahi prakrita gochar. The transcendental energy never comes within the jurisdiction of Prakriti, the material energy. So this priest, he was actually a great offender. He was not serving in the temple for the happiness of Krishna. Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur used to say one phrase, cracking nuts with the Shalagram Shila. You know, if you have some nuts in the shell and you cannot open them, then if you get a rock, you can break it and take out the nuts. So there are some persons, sometimes, they are so offensive that they have a temple and the people are coming and they say, oh, this is the Supreme Lord. Everyone give donation. And they take the money and they put it in their own pockets. And then when the people have gone and they close the curtains, when they need to open nuts, then, oh, I need the rock. And then they take the Shalagam Shila and use it for breaking the nuts. So, this is an extreme example. But, if a person is not doing this, but only he's staying in the temple and doing his so-called practice of bhakti only to collect the money, to collect followers, name and fame and money, all these things, these are material things. So if you are using Krishna's name, using the temple of Krishna for attain a material end, this is in principle the same as breaking nuts with the Shalagram Shila. Understand? In principle. Though we may lie to ourselves. We can lie to ourselves and try to be swakuhara, self-deceivers, cheating ourselves. But Krishna knows everything. That is not pure bhakti. Pure devotion, anya vilasata shunyam, jnana kama tenavritam, anukulyena Krishna. Exclusively for the happiness of Krishna, without asking for anything for ourselves. So, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said yes, because actually he was not a religious person, he was not a holy person, he was a materialistic person, an offensive person. This is why he became a ghost. But you know that pure devotees by their free will, they, by their own free will, they wander here. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur came there and he performed kirtan, and by the touch of his pure name, then that sinful person became liberated. So we have just sung this kirtan. Kabe habe bolo sedinayama Apurada guchi, Shudana meruchi, Kripa bale kabe, Hridaye sancha, Kave habe bulu, Siddhine amor. Really, try to sing these kirtans of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur from the core of your heart. Sometimes we may take our rosary, amala, and chant. But where is the eagerness? When will that day come? When actually the divine transcendental name will appear. We may be satisfied if we can only complete the number. That's it. Oh, 60, 32, 64. I have done the number. You know, Krishna is not counting your number. The real question is not when I complete the number. The question is, when will Nam Prabhu appear? When will I become free from the aparad, offensive mentality? And the Kripa Bale, by the power of the mercy of Gurudev and the Parampara, that Nam Prabhu will enter into my heart and make me to nod a peaceful nature. More humble than a blade of grass. When will my heart become overwhelmed with the feeling of compassion for every soul? When will I consider myself not to be better than another person? We are all Atma souls. We can be in some cases more fortunate. But that fortune is not our quality. That quality came by mercy of Guru, not by our quality. So we have no right to stand on a higher pedestal than another person, ever. But we can think like this in the mind. Then your prachar, this is not prachar. This is only pratishtha. Desire to be in a superior position to others. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Sri Agya Tahalo Koride Prachar. When will I be full of real compassion to help others without any sense of superiority? And Sri Agya Tahalo, Sri Agya means receiving Sri Agya, the holy order. Especially Sri means Radha. Or Sri Krishna in the mood of Sri Radha. When will he give me the Agya, the order? Korte Prachar. That is to propagate the glories of the holy name. Achar, by my own achar. Example, not only speaking. If we are not practicing what we are speaking, will not have any effect on others. Apeni karimu bhakta bhava angikari apeni achari bhakti shikamu savari. Apeni nakaila dharma sikana nayai eito siddhanti gita bhagavata gai. Without practicing oneself, one cannot teach another person anything effectively. So Sri Agya means that the propagation of the holy name goes on by the order of the Supreme Lord. That is, that each and every one of our great acharyas in the tradition, they have played a different role in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. Srila Gopkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, Namo Gaura Kishoraya, Vairagyamurtaye. He is the Vairagyamurti. He has shown by his example extreme dispassion. The detachment from the world. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has shown in his life the perfect example how the householder can serve Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, through his example, how in the mart sannyasis and brahmacharis can serve. In this way, Sri Agyatahalo, it is not that the pracha or the propagation of the divine message is something whimsical. What will I teach today? What will be my focus? No. Each and every acharya, by chanting the pure name, has been instructed in their heart, has been entrusted by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with a special part of his mission. And they're doing that. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur could have shown the vairagya of Srila Gopkishodas Babaji Maharaj. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur could have got married and had 13 children. But they didn't. Each one has done exactly as Supreme Lord in the heart has inspired them. And that is pracha. Not something independent and whimsical. It is divine. So, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is Khabe Khabe Bolo Saitina Amma. When will that day come? Don't be satisfied with completing your vidhi, only rules and regulations. But when will Nam Prabhu himself, God in the form of his holy name, manifest in the heart, dance on my tongue? Narad Vinod's Jivana Sudurmi Niryasa Madhuri Purya Tam Krishna Nama Kamas Purame Rasena Rasane Sada. And the name should come Rasena along with Rasa. That means when this very sweet and cooling nectar of the divine name appears, then that name will engage us in the beautiful, loving services of Radha and Krishna. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has shown us by his own example how he was living. That is his achar. And also he has revealed his vichar. That is his vichardhara, the current of his own internal conception through his sons. Vrishabhanu sutta charana sekane viboye palyo gasi shiradhar sukho shutata sadhane goyoya viprayasi shiradhar sukhe Krishna Sukho Janimo Manete Ami Radha Parachari Sri Krishna Sangame Kamuna Vivo Kami Shubham Sudha Charana Sipane Vivohi Palyona. Now Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is expressing his most internal mood. When will I attain that position of the maidservant of the daughter of Vrishabhanu Maharaj? When will I always at every moment strive only for her happiness? Why? Sri Radhara Sukhe means in the happiness of Radha. Krishna Jai Sukha. Krishna's happiness is found.
se encuentra la felicidad de Krishna.
This is very important.
Esto es muy importante.
Because the definition of pure bhakti, anukul yena Krishna anushlam bhakti uttama, divine transcendental devotion is all the activities of the body, mind, words and of the sentiments also meant exclusively for the benefit of Sri Krishna. So if a person will realize Sri Krishna, Shama Sundar, Bangsiwala, Bangsibadan Krishna in Vrindavan, then if they are very, very attentive, they will see how Krishna is happy. When Mother Yashoda takes Krishna in her lap, then Krishna is so happy. His face is blossoming. When Mother Yashoda is feeding him. Or when Sri Krishna is in the forest and he's playing with his sakhas, with his friends. Look how Krishna is so happy. Or if the person will realize when Krishna, coming out from the company of his friends, goes and meets with some gopis of Vrindavan, then Krishna is feeling more happiness. But when Sham Sundar, Yashodanandan Sri Krishna will come in the presence Vrishabhanu Sutta of the daughter of Vrishabhanu Maharaj, then Sri Krishna experiences the maximum happiness. So a very intelligent and sensitive person, they can sense that Sri Krishna's maximum happiness is in his meeting with Srimati Radhika. Once one devotee was saying, I want to become one Sakhi, not a maid servant. I want to be a Sakhi, Gopi. So I can meet with Krishna directly myself. So then the question comes, do you know the definition of bhakti? What's the definition of devotion? What does love mean? Love means that you want to give joy to the object of love. So, can you really please Krishna? You? Tiny soul? We are tiny souls. What power do we have to give joy to God? And who is Radhika? Purna Shakti. Not a part of the energy of Krishna, but Purna. The totality, all the energy of Krishna. Purna Shakti. Ladini Shakti. She is the totality of all the joy that Krishna can possibly experience. We are like dust. But if we can put our dust on the mountain of Radhika's, our service is like dust. If we can put this dust on the mountain of Radhika's service to Krishna, then it becomes significant. Otherwise, so Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, see Radha Sukhe, Krishna Sukhe Sukha. I see that Krishna's happiness, everything rests on the joy of Radhika. If I will try to serve him, it may give something little. But if I try to serve Radhika, then Krishna, he cannot find anything to repay me. Because Radhika is so dear to him. Aradhananam sarvesham Vishnu Aradhanam param of all types of Aradhana, worship of God, Krishna is best. But Tasmat Parataram Devi Tadhyanam Samachanam, Lord Shiva said, but better than that is to serve Tadhya, those who are dear to Krishna. Anyone can understand this. If some stranger is walking down the street with a dog, you don't even know him. But then you come and you pat his dog, oh, nice dog. Then that person automatically likes you. Because you like his dog, so he likes it. So if we can become Radhika's das anudas, servant of Gurudev, who is servant of Radhika, then automatically there's nothing more that we can do to capture, to captivate, to enchant the heart of Krishna. We cannot do anything more than that. That's the maximum achievement. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Radha Paudachari Sri Krishna Sangame Kabuna Hoyo Kami. I would never give up the service of the lotus feet of Radhika to go to Krishna myself. Why? Because this is the Anya Vilashita Shunyam Jnana Kamadyanaritam Anukulyena Krishna Shiram Bhakt Uttama. Topmost transcendental devotion has no personal consideration in it. So today we're remembering the lotus feet of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He has disappeared on the same disappearance day as Sri Gadadhara Pandit. So this shows the intense relationship between Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Gadadhara Pandit. His Gaura Shakti Srup, fully empowered manifestation of Gadadhara protection.
Está completamente empoderado por Gadadhara.
So, Gadadhara Pandit is the Radhika herself. Krishna, he could not understand how deep is the love of Radhika. But Radhika blessed him. Oh, one day you will understand. But she was very concerned. Because his Krishna Prem is like a mixture of nectar and poison. She knew that see Krishna, tasting his love, he will roll on the earth in pain. So she wanted to cover him, so she covered him with her golden complexion to protect him. And she also appeared along with Krishna as Gadadhara Pandit to help him fulfill his desires, to relish her love. When Mahaprabhu would remember a verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, Baha Pidam Natavarapapu Karyo Karnikaram Vibrantvasa Kanaka Kapisham Vaijayantim Chamalam Randranve Urdada Suraya Purayan Gopa Brinde Brindaranyam Supadaramanam Pravisat Gita Kirti. Mahaprabhu was remembering how in the morning Sri Krishna is leaving the village, decorated with the peacock feather, with karnikara flower over his ear, with a garland of colored flowers reaching down to his feet, surrounded by his friends playing on his flute. Mahaprabhu is now seeing this scene of Krishna from the perspective of Radhika. But how he was experiencing was not fully clear. So Gadadhara Pandit said, no, like this. And then Gadadhara Pandit would speak the verse. And by that shiksha, bhajan shiksha, empower Krishna again to taste it, but from her perspective. So Gadadhara Pandit was like a bhajan shiksha guru to Krishna. Radhika came to help him understand her own moods. And so Mahaprabhu in the day he used to listen to the Srimad Bhagavatam from Gadadhara Pandit. And in the night time he used to go to the Gambhira, and there with Radhika's Sakis, Lalita and Vishaka, that is Swarup Damodar and Roy Ramananda, then he would play the role of Radhika there. So this is very high subject. We see that Radhika was very contrary, because in Krishna Lila that contrary mood is very pleasing to Krishna. But for Mahaprabhu, for Krishna to relish that mood, he will have to become very submissive. So Radhika in Gaura Lila, as Gadadhara Pandit, does not manifest the contrary mood. She always plays in very calm and quiet role, very humble and very peaceful. Some persons think that because Gadadhara Pandit is very submissive, very dakshin, that Gadadhara Pandit's mood is like Rukmini. Mahaprabhu said, oh, you're so submissive like Rukmini. But this is, Krishna is teasing. There's some similarity, but only on the outside. You should understand. But inside, fully, Gadadhara Pandit is Radha Swarup. Fully. You know that Prem goes through so many stages. Prem, Sneha, Man, Pranaya, Rag, Anurag, Bhav, Mahabhav, Ruddhabhav, Adhiruddhabhav, Modan, Mohan, and last thing, Madanakya Mahabhav. Is the highest mood. So Krishna has up to Ruddhabhav and also Adhiruddhabhav. Krishna has. Krishna has. But Mohan and Madan especially, it does not have. Now, I just want to say one very profound point for those who have been studying for many years. The Madanakya Mahabhav, Rupa Goswami gave the definition. Sava bhavut gamallasi madano yam prapara rajate ladini saro radayam eva ya sada. It means that in this high stage of love, sarva bhavut gamallasi, all the other moods, Prem, Sneha, Man, Pranaya, all the other levels of love, everything, they all manifest simultaneously, even though these moods are contradictory, but everything becomes reconciled in the highest love. So this is one meaning, that all the various moods manifest at once. Radayam eva ya sada, rajate lalini saro. This mood is the essence of the Dini Shakti. It is most concentrated, condensed form of love. And Radhayam eva ya sada, it is always in Radha. Now the question comes that we see that sometimes Radhika is in her home, there is Jutila, Kutila and others. Sometimes she goes to Nandagaon. So the madness of the highest love, Madanakya Mahabhav, we don't see that it's manifest all the time. There are so many situations, sometimes Prem, sometimes Sneha, sometimes Man, sometimes Rag, different things. It is not always. But in the midday pastimes in Radhakund especially, then this Madan Bhav is manifested, but not at other times. So why does Srila Rupa Goswami say, Radhayam eva ya sada? This is always in Radha. Why? Because this highest love, Madan Bhav, has the Antar Prakash and Bahi Prakash. That means shining inside
que brilla.
and shining outside.
Brilla por fuera.
So this Madan Bhav in Radhika is always shining inside, Antarprakash, but not always manifest outside. When we understand this, then another meaning comes from this verse. Sarva Bhavut Gamullasi. Ullasi means that which expands and which illuminates or makes shining. So Sarva Bhav Udgamullasi, that this Madan Bhav which is inside makes the bhavs which are manifested on the outside, whether it's Prem, Sneha, Man, Pranay, Rag, makes them more shining and more beautiful due to its presence on the inside. Understand? So, what this means practically is that there are so many gopis, beautiful gopis of Vrindavan. So Chandravali, or Bhadra, or Shaibya, what to speak, even Lalita and Vishaka, Radharani's own group, they also have Prem. But their Prem is not like Radhika's Prem. They have Man, Pranay, they have Rag. But that's not the same as Radhika's Man, Pranay and Rag. Why? Because they don't have the Madan Bhav inside. So they have these stages also. So just because the other gopis' love is going in that stage and Radhika's love is in that stage, don't think, make them equal. Why? Because Sarva Bhav Udgamullasi. Because so Radhika may be in this stage and another gopi may be in that stage. But that stage of Radhika's love, due to the Antar Prakash of Madan Bhav which is present inside, is making her Man more beautiful than her Man, making her Pranay more beautiful than her Pranay, like this. Understand? So two meanings here. Sarva Bhav Udgamullasi. In Madan, when it is Prakash outwardly, all moods are shown there, outwardly and inwardly. But when Madan is only inside, then each one of the different moods is more beautiful and super excellent due to the illumination from within of the presence of Madan. Okay? Why am I saying this? Because Gadadhara Pandit is not manifesting outwardly all the moods of Radhika. But it should be understood that in the heart of the Gadadhara Pandit, the Madan Bhav is there, but it is the Antar Prakash. Inwardly shining and outwardly not manifest. Why? Because Radhika's service is always to fulfill Krishna's desire. So if she'll show her mood of Radhika fully outside, then Krishna will take form the role of Krishna. To love her. So she's hiding it so Krishna can play her role. So don't think that because of the very submissive Dakshinya and Rukmini-like mood of Gadadhara, that Gadadhara is any less than Radha. The Madan Bhav is there, but it is the Antarprakash. Shri Gadadhara Pandit ki jai, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande.